On the evening of Sunday the 5th of November 1967, the 743 express commuter train was travelling from Hastings to Charing Cross when it came off the rails between Hither Green and Grove Park railway stations, shortly before the St Mildred's Road railway bridge in southeast London. It was 9:15. The train was travelling at approximately 70 miles per hour in heavy rain when the front wheels of the third coach hit a wedge-shaped piece of steel that had broken away from the track, derailing the coach. The train continued on in this way for about a mile, however, before the derailed wheels hit the crossover lead of a diamond crossing in the up fast line. The third coach, the one ahead of it, and all the coaches behind were affected. The coupling broke behind the leading coach, which ran forward and finally stopped some 200 metres away from the second coach and 700 metres short of Hither Green station. Of the 10 carriages that came off the tracks, 1 overturned completely and another 2 jackknifed onto their sides. 2 of the carriages had their sides totally ripped off. Being a Sunday evening, the train was packed with people travelling back into the city, and the carriages and corridors were full. 49 people died in the accident, and nearly 80 were injured, 27 seriously. The rain and darkness meant that the rescue workers had a particularly difficult task, working under floodlights to try and free survivors. 2 of the more well-known of these were Robin Gibb of the pop group The Bee Gees and Molly Hullis. Following their narrow escape, the couple married the next year. Poignantly, the derailment occurred only a month before the 10-year anniversary of the Lewisham train crash, which took place just over a mile away and resulted in 90 fatalities. Investigators looking into the crash found that a triangular piece of the track had come away, leaving a gap. It was believed that the gap had, however, been successfully negotiated by previous trains on the busy track. The running-off sleeper had failed before, and the replacement was a shallow timber one. It had not been well packed. The running-on rail was supported by a concrete sleeper, which gave it very rigid support, leading to severe stress on the rail as successive trains struck it. But the 743 had a special suspension fitted in order to limit the sway of bodies, as there were tight clearances in the tunnels on its regular Tunbridge-Hastings route. This caused very high wheel forces at any track irregularities, which probably explains why this train derailed when others didn't. It was also noted that the speed limit on this section of the railway had been raised from 75 to 90 miles per hour a few months previously, and it was thought that, accordingly, available resources for basic track maintenance had simply become overwhelmed. The accident resulted in the speeding up of the introduction of continuous welded rail, the banning of concrete sleepers at rail joints on the southern region, and also the upgrading of maintenance standards in line with the increased wear caused by faster, heavier trains on the tracks. For the many people who are afraid of flying, it's what happens once the aeroplane is in the air that causes them the most apprehension. But there are times when what happens to the plane while it is still on the runway can be just as deadly. Like the horrific events of the 27th of March 1977 at Los Rodeos Airport on Tenerife in the Canary Islands. In thick fog and following a litany of mishaps and ill-timed occurrences, 2 Boeing 747s collided with each other, killing 583 people. The accident was mostly caused by the crew of the KLM Royal Dutch Airlines Flight 4805, who were accidentally taking off without clearance and crashed into Pan American World Airways Flight 1736, which was taxiing along the same runway. Both planes were only at the airport because they had been diverted from Las Palmas due to a bomb explosion. Simultaneous radio messages cancelled each other out, and non-standard language was used between the cockpits and the control tower. After the crash, important changes were made to international regulations, including strict requirements for standard phrases and an emphasis on English as the common working language.
Three, two, one.